affiliation period for this year. We should all be semi-familiar with the system, and hopefully by the end of this session, we'll all be very familiar with the system. So just in case you're not familiar with it, when you sign into the club's portal, this is the page you'll be greeted with. If you haven't already registered, please get in touch with Anna or myself or your local club development manager for your login details, and they'll be able to assist you. But as soon as you are registered, just click on the bottom, sign yourself in, and then you'll land on our landing page. Obviously, some of you who are familiar with the portal will notice that it's undergone some changes recently and looks slightly different, and acts slightly different as well. And the main focus for tonight's sessions, so we'll touch upon the club affiliation briefly, just to go over the importance of that and touch base with everyone there. Then we'll look at the club reviews and how you can use those to highlight your strengths and areas of development within your club. And then how the online training courses and the club resource centre can assist you in any of those areas of development. So just quickly, we'll have a little jump onto the club affiliation section. I'm sure you're all familiar with this, as we mentioned, having already been through the affiliation period throughout April. This is a sort of live data gathering area for us. If we need a specific contact within the club, we tend to go straight to these people. So, for example, if we look at the club personnel, we haven't filled in our details on here just as a demo. But if we're looking for all of the secretaries for all contacts, we use this system. So it's vitally important that the system is kept up to date, and that any changes that happen throughout the year, that you adjust the system to show those changes, just so that we can ensure that all communication to the club reaches the right person and reaches the relevant people, to ensure that there's clarity in everything that we're doing, and there's no delay in any communication. So I'm sure you've all been through these steps, but they're pretty simple. So you would fill in each person's details, click through to next, and so on. This section this year is a new addition. So I'm sure you're aware of the safeguarding and welfare review that has been recently, and all of the policies that are available through Welsh Athletics that we're hoping the clubs will adopt. We've given the safeguarding and welfare section its own area this year. So as I mentioned, any changes that happen throughout the year, we ask that you update that and then submit your details again, because we are notified every time that you submit your details. So any changes that are made, as soon as you submit it, we are notified of those changes so we can keep an eye on things. So now that we've briefly touched upon the affiliation section, we're going to jump onto the club reviews, which is quite an exciting little tool to use to assess where your club is at currently. As you can see, we've got the three categories here. So club management, legal and tax status, and workforce. And then there are also 7 subcategories across these three. So if we jump into club management, for example, as you can see, it gives you a percentage of questions completed throughout these reviews within the club management section. So we've got planning, policies and procedures, committee structure, and constitution. So we'll use the constitution one, as we haven't started it, as a bit of a demo this evening. And as we click in, we go to the questions, and we can see that there's a series of questions under this section that need answering. So they're all multiple choice questions, very straightforward, very simple. Does your club have a constitution? So it's required to have a governing document by regulatory organisations, so that we can understand how the organisation exists and how it's managed. If we're not sure or we don't know, as soon as we click an answer, we are given a notification that we should establish a constitution, because it's one of the key priorities that we highlight for clubs. Within this then, if you don't have a constitution, there's a link to a template to assist you in that. And there's also a link to the Club Solutions website, where it can give you some help and guidance in establishing the governance documents that you may need. Obviously, you can change these answers as you complete them or as you review them. And it's something that we would encourage clubs to do quite regularly, is to highlight your areas of development and review them as you progress through. So yes, we have a club constitution. We've ticked the yes. So there's no further requirements there, so we can move on to the next question. Okay, so then the next question would be around the constitution detailing the club's aims and objectives. Again, if we set no, then it gives examples, and it gives us guidance in the areas that we should be addressing within our club constitution. If we click yes, again, green light, we move on. So if we leave a few of these questions as no, we'll quickly pick and choose a few answers within these questions, just so we can get some results. Okay. So as we can see now, we've worked our way through the majority of the questions. There's just 2 there left unanswered. And at the top, we can see a results section. So when we click on the results, then it gives us our areas of strength and our areas of perceived weakness, if you like. But then there's also recommendations for what the next steps are for the club in terms of addressing those areas of weakness. And they're also highlighted in terms of priority. Okay, so if your club structure, the constitution doesn't require the committee to meet a minimum number of times, then it's something fairly urgent that needs to be amended, and you would do that then. And you might assign it to a certain individual within your club. You might take the responsibility on yourself. But then obviously any amendments to the club constitution would need to be agreed upon in any AGMs, or in an extreme measure, an EGM. Again, within these, there are links to examples and certain templates, and we'll cover these as we progress through the different sections this evening and look at the online training and the resource centre. So if we just click back to club management, we can see that now that we've done the constitution section, we've completed 82%, so we know that there's only a couple of questions left. But it also gives us a breakdown of how many areas are green, so how many areas are we performing well in, amber, where we might need addressing, and then red, which areas are concerned that might need addressing fairly quickly. And we can see that there are multiple areas to consider. So we've broken these down into further categories, as you can see, and the process is the same for all of these sections. So there's a constitution section, a planning section, policies and procedures, and a committee structure within the club management area. If we look at our legal and tax status, it's just the one area that we need to focus on. And again, exactly the same process. We go in, we look at the questions, we answer the questions as needed, and it provides results again as normal. And as you can see here, there are videos to support the resources that you might need. There are templates, there are all sorts of guidance. There's links to various websites which can provide you with further information and guidance as well. So it's quite a robust tool, if you like, that can help you and support you through any areas of club development. And then within our workforce section, you've got coaches and officials and workforce. So we're 100% completed on this one. We've got 9 green, 3 amber, and 1 red. Okay, so our 5 areas of weakness would then be covered here. We can see really there's only one high priority. So that would be the club need to appoint a coaching coordinator as a matter of urgency. And then we've got here the roles and specifications of the club coaching coordinator. So as for the reviews, that is that for the moment. Do we have any questions on that at the moment, or are we all?
Who in particular has to fill in those questionnaires? Is there anyone from the club, or is anyone just particularly registered to use the portal?
So within the club, I would suggest that there are probably individuals that are more suited for certain elements. So if you think of the, for example, if you've got a coaching coordinator within the club, I know, Claire, obviously you've taken on the responsibility. I would suggest that the coaching review would probably be your area to complete. Generally, it would be the secretary or the chair completing a large proportion of these. And you may be aware that each club is allowed 10 licenses within the portal. So you can identify 10 people either within your committee or a subcommittee that can access this. And it might be something that you delegate to certain areas within the club or certain subcommittees, as we've covered in previous sessions. Any further questions?
None in the chat, Tom. Kevin's just having some difficulty hearing you. You're coming through clear for me, so I'm not sure if it's a problem your end or Kevin's end.
Okay, no worries. I'll try and make sure that I'm nice and clear. Okay, so if we've got no questions there around the reviews, we'll look at some of the training and the resources available. So to access the online training, click on your online training section. And as you can see here, there's 6 areas that have been identified, and the majority of them are relating to legal or finance areas of the club. The main reason for this is when we were setting up the system, a large number of questions that we would get would be around sort of legal governance and finance questions. Obviously, not being legal or finance experts ourselves, it was important that we found the right information to ensure that our clubs were all legal and adhering to any sort of financial laws that there might be, or any implications there may be for running a club. So it's important that we covered all of these elements. So all of these courses, so if we click on the CASC for an example, these are broken down into different sections, and all of these are short videos. So just by clicking on the button, it would take you through, the video would open automatically in a new tab, and it'll take you through exactly what is a CASC, okay, or a community amateur sports club, and then you would work your way through these videos, completing it. There's areas for you to make your comments or any notes if you wish, if you'd rather keep it all in one place, or if you'd rather use a pen and paper, then obviously that's up to you. But all of these different sections are broken down into videos, as they are across all of the clubs. So we've looked at sort of club governance and establishing values and things, and a lot of the ideas that we covered in those webinars can be seen within the videos in this section. Nicola, I can see your hand up.
Yeah, so with regards to these courses then, do they come up for, if you've got, say, 4 people using the portal, can they all access these courses, or is once one person is done it, it's ticked off and then that's it?
No, you can access these courses as many times as you want, really. So obviously we mentioned that up to 10 people can have a license and access to the portal through your club license. So for argument's sake, you could have all 10 people completing these courses.
Yeah, so where it says sort of the cask 0% connected, completed, that's just for you because you're logged on, is it? So
yeah, so that's just for me. But obviously with your club, when you log in and go through the video, as you progress through, it'll save your progress. So once it's completed and you've done it, it's ticked off.
So it's an individual process on the 10 people that can actually use the portal. Yeah.
Yes, okay. It'll be assigned uniquely to your login details.
Okay.
Okay. So all of these online courses are short videos, and so they're quite convenient, really. They don't take up a huge amount of time, and they do flow quite well and quite quickly. And the beauty of them being short videos is that you can either jump on if you've got a spare half hour and get through one section, or if you've just got 5 minutes while you're waiting for a cup of tea to be made, or if you're waiting for the kettle to boil, or you're waiting for your other half to finish in the kitchen, then just something that can be done short and sharp just while you're sat on the sofa. So and it's an easy option and an easy tool to access in order to cover yourselves in terms of your learning and understanding of some of the financial and legal implications of managing the club. Okay, so a lot of the reviews are linked to those videos as well. So as you saw in terms of the prompts, if we click no or don't know, it came up with a link underneath. If you click on those links, a lot of them are linked to the videos within the Training Resource Centre. So as you progress through the reviews, it'll align your learning within the training centre so that you're going at your speed rather than going through all of the training resources, coming back to the reviews or completing all of the reviews and then going to the training. It can sort of dovetail in with the other. And if you're stuck on a certain section, it can give you the training before moving on. Okay, so if there's no further questions on the online training courses, we'll move on to the resource centre. Okay, so as you can see, this is broken down into the 6 sections. If we just jump onto club management, for example, all of our documents that we would expect a club to have in terms of a constitution, a development plan, codes of conduct, for example, all of those policies and templates can be found on the portal. So if we look at committee structure, for example, there's a guide on committee structure. There are templates for minute taking in meetings. There are agenda templates for meetings. Constitution has a full club constitution template. So if you have no idea where to start, get yourselves on the portal, grab your template, start filling it in, and then if you're stuck with anything, don't hesitate to get in touch with your local club development manager, and they'll be able to help you as well. Another useful resource that we've already mentioned previously is the Club Solutions website, and there's lots of information on there, and some of the templates on here will also take you through to that website as well. GDPR guidance, obviously it's important now with all of the rules and regulations around GDPR that we ensure that everyone is adhering to the law, and there are various guides here and guidance that you can follow and download and essentially implement within your club without having to put a huge amount of work in yourselves. So we have a club development plan, supporting document and template, as we mentioned. Obviously, it's our aim to help you guys create the best environments possible, and we're here to assist you in achieving that. And we want you to have the kind of club that you want, and the only way that we can understand that for each of our clubs is that if every club has a development plan, we can align your actions to your development plan. And if there are certain areas missing, or if there's certain areas that it's easy to get carried off on a tangent and go in one direction, it's important for us to be able to kind of be a bit of a compass and guide you back towards that development plan to ensure you're hitting all the areas that you've identified that you want to achieve. As we mentioned, some of the policies and procedures. So we've had quite a few clubs, especially with some of the changes around the safeguarding and the requirements of codes of conduct. We've had quite a few requests about information and templates for these over the last few weeks. As you can see here within policies and procedures resources, there are codes of conduct for the clubs, for the athletes, the coaches, medical officer, parents, team managers, technical officials, anyone and everyone really, as well as health and safety guidance, templates, risk assessment flowcharts. Everything you really need there in terms of policies and procedures.
Nicola, you've got your hand raised. Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah, I hope I'm not coming across as being a bit blonde, but so with all these policies and procedures that you've got in the resources, we can download them, we can brand them up with our club logos and club headings and put them on our websites, can we?
Yes.
As club documents?
Yeah, so as you can see you see that?
Yep.
So it just comes through as the athletics welfare and policy procedure for that one. You can take that and put it straight on your website if you want, if those are the codes of conduct that you want your club to abide by. Obviously, these are the codes of conduct that we would request that our clubs abide by. And it's the same then for the athletes, the coaches, and so on. Yeah, you can just either get them online, or you can download them as well, and do as you please. Really, you can add your logo, you can put your club and so on.
Yeah, so we can take them, add our logos, add things, what have you, amend them, can we? Or would
Yes, yeah. So when you download them, you'll be able to amend them. Probably they come through in terms of the download as a Word document, so you can amend them as you.
Excellent.
And then make them readily available on your websites. That's what they're here for, and that's what they're there to do. We want to lessen the burden on clubs, really, and this is the resources that we're hoping to provide. That and obviously, if there are anything else that you need and any regular requests we get, we tend to try and add to these sections quite regularly and quite often to ensure that we're kind of staying on top of things. As you can see here within the safeguarding and welfare, so we've got guides on sort of dealing with difficult volunteers, managing challenging behaviour, the safeguarding adults at risk, and so on, as well as the policy. It'll take you through to the UK safeguarding and welfare page as well. So we kind of cover all of the bases, but if there's anything that's not on there that you do need or want added, then please get in touch with us and let us know. This is a club's portal, and although we use it for data collection, it is here to guide you and assist you in, again, creating the best possible environments in your clubs that you can, and ensuring that people are having an enjoyable and safe experience within the sport. So, our aim is to make managing a club as easy as possible for you. Yes, Claire?
I was just looking at the resource library for the workforce. It looks like you need to do some more. Is there stuff missing from that?
Yeah,
If
no,
I'm looking at the workforce section and the paid staff, didn't have any information on that. No resources found.
okay. On
I'm
the,
just,
which
yeah,
section?
on the paid staff resources.
Paid
It's the
staff.
only one. It's the only one that's not got anything on
No
it.
worries.
Wondering
Yeah,
why.
so in the reshuffle of things, that's probably been folded away somewhere else. So I'll do some research on that and find out where that's gone and make sure that's updated first thing in the morning. So thanks for pointing that one out, Claire. So hopefully that's the only one. Yeah, so I think that kind of concludes our tour of the portal. It is there, as I said, to assist you and to help you in all areas of club management and understanding where your strengths lie and where your areas of development might possibly be. You know, obviously as club development managers, we're here to help you as much as possible, but I would strongly encourage you to set foot into the club's portal first of all as your first port of call to see if there are any answers in there first. Jenny, you're on mute, sorry.
You'd never think we've been doing Zoom for over a year now, would you? I've just taken over as club chairman for our club, and I've obviously only just logged into the portal, and it appears nobody's done anything on it for a long time. Who would I contact for help and assistance sort of from Welsh Athletics?
Okay, so this is my area, so
Yeah,
either contact myself or
yeah,
your club development manager.
right.
What club are you with?
Pembrokeshire Harriers.
Okay, so Andrew Jenkins would be, but obviously,
Yeah, he was the one he's got me into the portal to start off with, and then I thought I'd come and do this then before I started attacking what needed doing with it.
yeah, no problem. So obviously the priority really
Brilliant. Okay.
would be the affiliation section, and then I would probably
I think the secretary said she'd done the affiliation bit, but then, as I say, I'm just coming into this new, so I'm kind of finding my feet really.
yeah. As soon as that's completed, I'd then look to move on to the reviews, and the review is set as what we would expect to see from a club environment,
Okay.
and it can kind of guide you in terms of your next steps for the club, really. So as a new chair coming in, it's a great place to start.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Jenny,
Back up, or you?
Yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Jenny, I've just popped in the chat Tom and Andrew's email addresses. I'm guessing you've probably already got Andrew's, but Tom's is in the chat as well for you if you need to contact him.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
And then I think Christine and then Claire after Christine, Tom.
Okay, no worries. Away, Christine.
Hi Tom, just a quick question with regards to the other people who can log in. Do I have to request a login for them or can I set them up?
So the initial login details in terms of the club ID and the club password stay the same. It's
Right.
just then the individuals would need to set themselves up.
Right, I got
so-
it. I remember. Sorry.
No problem.
Thanks.
And then I guess Claire, or did you just not pop your hand up?
No, I just didn't put a hand down, didn't realise. But I do have a question, sorry. As I am fairly new to the whole coach coordinator role,
Yeah.
this is all a big mind-boggling issue for me because there's some stuff on here I wouldn't have a clue of knowing. Does it matter that I don't have the information for these club reviews? Or is it because it's my login details, do I have to find that out to be able to enter it, to be able to proceed to complete that
So
section?
in terms of the reviews, if you don't have the information, or you don't have the answer. Some of the questions will have "I don't know" as a potential answer, and it might prompt you then to find that information within certain parts that you've already done. Or if you don't know, then you can still progress through the reviews, and you can ask other people within the club who have access to the portal to complete their section, which they might have answers to those questions in that review. So it's not reliant on just one person doing it. You know, as we've spoken in various webinars previously around setting subcommittees and delegating some of the work, you can do that within the portal as well. So, you know, for example, if we just click back onto the club reviews, you know, in terms of club management, you might split those 4 sections across 4 different people. Or you might say, right, well, I'll take on workforce, Hannah would take on legal and tax, and Chris might take on club management. So then we can divvy up the work if you like. So, but it's not a huge issue if you don't know the answer to a certain question. If anything, it's those sort of things that we want to address. So if you don't know the answer, you know, does someone within the club know the answer? Or if we don't know the answer, do we need to do some work around addressing that area?
Okay, so how would I know if, say, Ruth had already done certain information? Would it still come up?
So the club reviews are not unique to the individual, they're unique to the club.
Right, okay, yeah,
The training is unique to the individual.
right. Thank you. Great.
No problem. Chris?
Yeah, hiya, Tom. When we first started using this, there was I had a question. I mean, we started using it right back and did the trials when it was originally introduced, and there was an issue with user access. I mean, given what we'd been through in the past, you had the ability to remove other users, which seems to have gone now, but that also opens up, following on from Christine's question about adding new people, there's always the possibility that you'll get somebody that, you know, something happens in the club, you don't want that person having access to the club portal anymore.
Yeah.
Do we have a power as an individual to be able to remove those, or do we need to come to you to remove that person in that scenario? Because they could obviously go through and just obliterate all the answers or do whatever they like, you know?
Yeah. So within the actual club personnel section, you can remove people from certain roles. You don't have the ability to completely remove someone from the system. That would need to come to myself or Hannah or one of the other officers to be able to do that. Simply because if the ability was there, that there's the potential of, you know, if you've got to delete one part and then all of a sudden you've deleted 3 people, you know, and if they've got more, like I was saying around, somebody could go in and go, oh, I messed that around. But if they were able to delete individuals from the role, they could just go in and go delete all, and then you're starting from scratch essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the concern originally, that you could do that. But now the concern lies with, for example, say I'm, you know, want to be an administrator of everybody who accesses the system, and somebody goes rogue and starts doing something, and you say, okay, I need to stop that. And it happens at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. I've got to wait till Monday morning before I can contact Welsh Athletics for somebody to remedy that sort of scenario.
So we will have the power to remove people from the system. The only thing they'll be able to do, so they won't be able to delete people's information on block, only if they went into each individual and deleted every little bit of information. They can remove people from roles, but then when you go back in, it's just a case of assigning that role to that person, and the information will still be saved.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have devastating consequences. It was just sort of trying to understand that if there's a club sort of hierarchy that we could, you know, use for somebody to be a super user who can oversee that. But it's fine. You've explained that. That's great. Thanks.
No problem. Cheers, Chris. Any further questions?
I think just one observation from me, Tom, just I know everybody on this call probably already understands this, but I think it's just important to remember that it's not a problem if you don't get green ticks on every review. You know, we're not going to be judging you. We're not going to be, you know, looking at that and thinking, oh gosh, well, Ogmore Phoenix have got loads of red crosses on their reviews. They're not doing very well. That's not what this is about. It's a tool to support you rather than us to log in and judge you. So I just wanted to make that clear, make sure nobody's worried that we're going to be sitting there and getting upset with you all, because it's very much that honesty that this tool will provide will hopefully enable you guys to develop and iron things out that perhaps you've been meaning to do for a while but haven't quite got round to yet. So please see it as a positive. That's all I was going to add in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say that exactly that. We still have red crosses on our system that have been there for some time that will become part of the development plan going forward. They allow you to shape your development plan. So if they are things that you consider not vital right now, you can insert them into the plan for later, and they can help to shape that going forward. I think it's really useful in that regard.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. Nicola?
Just sort of carrying on from what Chris was saying about users. Can you actually see who your club users are?
I can see who your club users are. And
can our club users see who the other users are?
so if, for example, if you set someone's information within a role, anyone who logs in as a user of your club will be able to see the people who are within those roles. You won't be able to see who the users are in terms of your
Club Serve portal.
But if you would like to send a list, we can either use your committee lists that is already on the portal, or if you'd like to send a list of people that have been assigned access to complete specific tasks, we can ensure that there's enough space within your club license for those 10. So if anybody is inactive or has been inactive for a certain period of time, we can remove those to then replace them if you need to replenish your 10.
Yeah, okay. I just don't know who our users are. I know I've given the username and password to a couple of people, but I don't know if anyone's had it previously from our previous. Yeah, Chris. I don't know whether Sue has given it to anybody else. That's so I don't know. Like
I was registered with Pontypool using the portal.
Yep.
Then Sue registered to take over as secretary.
Yep.
But she didn't give it to anybody, so I've given it to Eigen.
Right,
because
okay.
I still have the registration details for Pontypool, but I don't know if I can still log in, because I haven't tried.
No, that's what I mean. I don't know, because I've given it to Andy and Sammy because they're looking at the constitution and so forth. But I mean, obviously I need to ask them if they have actually logged in, but I can't actually see if they have.
Nicola, if you send an email to Tom, he'll be able to pull a list off all the registered users, and you can kind of go through and say, yeah, they're staying, no, they're no longer involved or aren't in that role. That might be the easiest way to
no worries.
It would be helpful though to have a list, because over the years you do kind of forget what you've got, and you know, so it would be useful to see who your 10 people are. Because you wouldn't even remember how many you've got, how many you've given it to.
No problem. That's
like
something that we can.
You know, as far as I know, I'm still ready. I can still log into Pontypool. I just have to try.
I would think you could, yeah.
I think that was one of the things that
you might allocate a number of people to do a certain section, but then you might want a different set of people to do something else, and you'd run out of users.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's something.
I might be the rogue one that Chris is on about. I'll go into Pontypool and delete all their documents.
Carol will have an influx of people now all of a sudden. Now we'll that's definitely something we'll take back to the system developers and build in really. You know, I appreciate all of the feedback, and if at any point, you know, any concerns or any issues arise with the system, please let me know so that we can take these back to the system developers, really, because although okay, it's Welsh Athletics Clubs portal, you know, you guys are the clubs. It's your portal. It's there to serve you guys. And, you know, it's something that, you know, it's the service that we provide, but it's there to serve you.
I know most WordPress websites, you can see your list of people who've got access to and what they can do as, you know, full rights or just editor or something like that. So, you know, it shouldn't be a difficult thing, but I think it would be useful to, because it'll remind you, if nothing else, say, oh my God, they left the club years ago, kick them out.
It was there right at the start. That was what
it was. I remember.
And you could list them, but you could also at the time actually remove them. And I remember raising that as an issue where I said, what if somebody registers and then removes everybody else so that we can't get on? You know, it was that.
Also, it's your fault it's gone.
Possibly.
The other question I had, and I think I actually talked about it with Hannah, I'm not sure, was whether there's any future where this will be linked to the registration page, so you're not having to input all the information on 2 websites.
Yeah, so we are in the process of looking at all of the options around that. From my personal experience, you know, starting with Welsh Athletics and having sort of 3 or 4 different portals to have to navigate and so on, it is confusing. The amount of time that we spend chasing people to complete affiliation, and you know, as soon as people have paid on the secondary portal, they think affiliation is done, and then chasing them to complete the affiliation on the club's portal. I can completely understand how it can be confusing and how much simpler things would be if everything would be in the one location. So it is something that we are exploring at the moment. But yeah, leave it at that for the moment.
Watch this space.
Yes, that's probably the best way to put it. Watch this space.
Is Welsh Athletics anywhere near setting up a payment page for members to go in and pay their affiliation themselves?
I believe that is one of the elements that are being looked at as part of this wider program at the moment. Where we are with that, I'm not sure, but I believe it's all part of the bigger discussion. So.
Any other questions from anyone? You've all been full of questions tonight. It's been brilliant.
We're engaged.
Yeah.
So what we like?
I know you've got a lot of the Welsh Athletics contacts page on the resource library as well, so we can find out all the information of who to contact on there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Just downloaded that.
Excellent.
Great stuff.
Well, I guess if there's no other questions, I hope you've all enjoyed that tonight and you found it useful. Thank you very much to Tom for going through the club's portal and shedding some light on some of the reviews and the tools that we can use the portal to aid our clubs with. If there's no other questions, please feel free to pop off and go and enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. Thank you very much for joining us. It's always a delight to see you all. Hopefully we'll be able to start seeing you all in person now, out and about at your clubs. That'll be exciting.
Lovely.
But yeah, thank you very much.
Bye bye everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.